Okay, so I just recorded a full like 30-minute recording just now and lost it because I guess halfway through the microphone stopped recording. So I'm going to try this again. Today, I wanted to talk about Chiron and some astrology stuff. But before I get into that, I wanted to mention that I just did an interview with my good friend Brittany Bond, who also is the one who turned me on to Chiron. She showed me, she opened up the Chiron portal. So we just did an interview yesterday. It's amazing. Go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below. So yeah, go check it out. We talk about Chiron and how what it means. What it means to which house your Chiron is in and how to apply that to your own life. For me, it's in Taurus, and which is like in the house of stability and value and self-love and worth. And so we go deep into that and like my journey around, finding stability and exploring self-love. And so, yeah, go check it out. It's a great interview. Brittany's great. She has an amazing podcast. So go give it a listen, give her a follow. And yeah, so let's see. Chiron. Just after New Year, I was at Wainam, which is a remote beach, and they have these amazing parties here on Kopangan. And I was hanging out with Brittany and a couple other close friends, and it just kind of casually came up. I'm not really sure what prompted it, but it was like it just sort of casually came up. Like, Brittany asked me what's your Chiron, like what house is your Chiron in. We looked it up on the natal chart, and it has been pretty mind blowing. The opening up this portal has been this has been like the biggest thing since in the last week or two for me, is like this discovery, because it's helping to make sense of a lot of things that I feel like I had incomplete information about. It's like I'm shining a light on this huge blind spot that I didn't even know I had. It was a blind spot. I didn't even know I had the blind spot, let alone to shine light on it. And, and now that I see it, I can see that I've been avoiding it and running away from it my whole life. I didn't even know. I had no idea. But I think that's what it's all about, is like, and like this is kind of how to work with it. So I'll break this up into a couple of videos because I'll talk more in depth about Chiron as it applies to me and my journey and my story. But generally, what is Chiron? So Chiron is a asteroid that was discovered in the 60s or the 70s. I want to say like 1974. It was discovered in the 70s, so pretty recently, within the last 100 years. And they don't really know what to classify it as. It's not big enough to be a planet. It's not a comet. I think comets need to have like trails of stardust or something, but so it's not a comet, it's an asteroid for now. They might reclassify it, like sort of like how they reclassified Pluto. They took away its planetary status. So it's an asteroid, and it has this really like off-center orbit around the sun. It's like, it's like this. It's not, the sun is not in the middle. It's like it has this really off-center axis thing happening. And it orbits between Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So it's kind of on the outer edges of the solar system, which is kind of significant when you get into the mythology and stuff. It's sort of it sort of bridges the earthy planets, Mars and Earth, and so the ones that are closer to the sun, that are like actually like solids. And it sort of makes this orbital transition out into the planets that are like gas and ethereal. And it's sort of, and so it's sort of this is sort of niche about it, but it's like it kind of bridges this world of like the earth plane to the spiritual plane, the emotional plane. But the mythology of Chiron, though, is that it is Chiron is known as the wounded healer. And the story is that Chiron he's this master healer. He has this incredible ability to heal everybody, their wounds, their psychological wounds, their traumas, their emotional wounds. He's a master healer. But when he gets hit by a poison arrow in battle by Zeus, I think Zeus shot him. And these guys are immortal, so like they're just like playing games, But he gets hit by this poison arrow by Zeus, and he is unable to heal himself. Despite being a master healer, Chiron cannot seem to heal himself. And being immortal, he lives for thousands of years with this wound until eventually he decides to no longer live. He gives up his immortality, and chooses to die. And then I think Zeus or Prometheus or somebody sends him up into the stars as a memorial, and that's how he gets into the sky. There's something in the story where it's like somehow he sacrifices himself by dying. It's like by dying he allows one of his friends to go on and healing the world or something. I'm not really sure the details. I'm just an amateur astrologer. I've been into it. It really resonates with me. I do study it, and I love astrology, but I'm not really equipped to talk about the technicalities of it. I'm not an astrologer, so I might be getting some of this wrong. Doesn't really matter. What I will talk about is how I apply it. How I understand it and make sense of it. But yeah, so I think as far as I know, that's the mythology. The master healer, he gets wounded, for some reason cannot heal himself, even though he can heal everybody else, eventually decides to forfeit his life so that his friend can continue healing people on Earth. So the way that I've been making sense of this, the way that I think you can make sense of it, is to find out, look up your natal chart and find out what house your Chiron is in. And depending on, everybody's different. Depending on the house that it's in, each house is a different set of like core wounds. These are like soul wounds. You've been carrying these for eons. This is like themes across multiple lifetimes, past life wounds that are unhealed, and then they manifest themselves in this lifetime as like a lot of these traumas occur in very early childhood, like within the first couple of months, and then the themes play out over the course of your life. And like I'm looking back on my life story, and it's wild how to see the patterns playing out, things that are seemingly disconnected, not related. It's pretty uncanny to see. It's like I start to see these patterns, and a lot of, I mean, these are my manifestations. It's like, so the depending on the house that your Chiron is in, this is where your your core wounding is. Your deepest wounds are in these areas. And and these areas are where you have the greatest opportunity for growth. If you can heal these wounds, it's like this is where the deficit is, and if you can heal this is where you can like maximize your growth. And by doing so, if you can heal it, you can then go heal others, because you've been through that journey. You know that suffering, you know that trauma. So for example, my Chiron is in Taurus, and so this has to do with themes of stability and home and groundedness, and fear of losing what I value, which is home and stability, finances, and for me, I think I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this is the thing, is like what I'm finding is like these, I have this fear of, it's like for me, finances represent stability. And I've always feared, there's a fear of losing stability. This is how it applies in my house. What I'm finding is like that this isn't necessarily the case for everybody else. Like I've been going through life thinking that this is just inherent in the human condition. But apparently like each person has their own unique set of core wounds and traumas like this. So Taurus, Chiron and Taurus, for me, that means, stability, fears around losing what I value, losing stability, losing the home community. It's a feeling, it feels like at any minute there could be a metaphorical earthquake. Like the structures of my stability, the pillars of my stability could crumble at any minute, and I have to be prepared for that. And so there's a survival instinct that kicks in, that I'm my nervous system is always in survival mode. Like I have to be ready in case there's an earthquake. The other component, for the Chiron and Taurus is, themes around like my sense of self-worth and value and self-love ultimately. So, and so I've always had this feeling of like, I've struggled with my own worth, with my own value, with loving myself. And it's all like there's always been this feeling that I don't matter, that I could die, I could be gone tomorrow and nobody would really notice. And like one funny way that like this kind of manifests is like I used to do this. I used to do the Irish exit. I would go to a party and I would be with all these people who like I love them, they love me, they're my friends, and it'd be getting a little bit later, and I would, instead of going around and saying bye and giving people hugs and having a last word before I go, I would just vanish out the back door. I would just leave without telling anybody. And I would do this a lot. Like this was like a normal thing. And I would, I would explain it, like I would rationalize it by saying like, oh, it just takes so long, it's like, and like doing the hugs, and it's like, oh, why do we have to go through this whole process? And it's like, I got to hug like 15 different people, and, and it's like, I would dismiss it as this thing that like wasn't valuable. But really, if that was like a coping mechanism, if I was really to look at that, it's like, it comes from a place of lack of self-worth. I feel like I don't value that I feel like nobody really cares, and so I can leave, I can Irish exit, I can vanish out the back door, And it's fine because nobody knows I'm gone anyways. That's what it feels like. So anyways, I want to make another video getting into some more of the specifics around this and how it applies to myself and my own story. Because I think it might help for other people. For some people, this is probably not relevant at all. It's like I don't think, some of this might not resonate at all, because your Chiron is in a different house. Or maybe you've healed it, whatever. But it's like, but it's been interesting exploring this because I'm finding that certain people, they think this is like alien to them, and then other people, this resonates deeply, which I think is just really funny. So I want to make another video getting into some of the details of this and exploring this, in my own story and my own journey. But if this resonates, I really encourage you to go find out what house is your Chiron in. Look up your natal chart. You'll need your birth location and birth time. And look it up. This opened up a huge portal for me. This has been like a huge, like shining a huge spotlight on a blind spot that I didn't even know that I had. And it's helping to it's like this, it's information. I was trying to make sense of things, trying to make sense of my life and these struggles and these tensions, with incomplete information. And I feel like I've just opened up this door to like this big chunk of data that I was not aware of. And it's putting things in a new light. So I'll leave it at that. Go, if this resonates, go look up your Chiron. I would love to hear if anyone's listening and anyone's into this, like if you know about your Chiron or you go look it up, I really genuinely would love to hear what you find and what you experience, because I think this is super interesting. This has made more sense to me than any of the major planets in my natal chart. The sun, rising, moon, all that stuff. It's like it all works together, and it's all big and it all makes sense. But for some reason, this one really hit home. This one really resonates, and it's like this aha moment. So go look it up. Let me know what you find. And if you need help making sense of it, in a practical way, I'd be down to help, because I found some of the information out there, some of the stuff that I was reading about, and some of these podcasts I was listening to. The way that they present this astrology stuff is like, I don't know, it's not really my flavor. It's like a little technical, and these myths and things. It's not really how I prefer to understand things. I like to, I don't know, I like to distill it down and bring it down to like practical, grounded, and like how can I apply this in practical ways to my own life. And Brittany really helped do that. Like our first initial conversation, she had a way of explaining it in a way that like really was like, this is how it applies to you. And so I think that helped me in my research. With that foundation, like I could then, decipher what information was useful and what wasn't, because a lot of it's extraneous. A lot of the stuff people talk about is like, I don't really care. But, so go look up your Chiron. I'd love to know, what you find, how does it speak to you? How does it resonate? And go check out this interview that I just did with Brittany. Link in the show description. Go check it out.